My name is Stephen Ramsey. I'm 41. And the final thing my brother said to me before my world was upended was, "Admit it, Steve. You're a fake. And everyone in this room knows it." The words tore through the packed hospital waiting area like shrapnel. A gathering of 37 relatives, friends, and family acquaintances swiveled to look at me. A few glanced away, almost immediately, clearly embarrassed for my sake. Others, however, leaned forward, eager for the drama. My brother Marcus stood with his arms folded, his chest puffed out like a bantam rooster. Relishing a moment, he had obviously been engineering all night. We were all there awaiting an update on our grandmother's emergency surgery. She was the woman who had brought us both up after our parents were killed in a car accident when I was 12. She was also the woman who had painstakingly saved every last dollar to see Marcus through law school while I would vanish for months on end for what he termed my little escapades. "You arrive here in that absurd get-up," he went on, motioning to my plain black blazer and trousers, posturing like you're some man of importance. But we're all aware of the reality, aren't we? You're 41 years old. You have no real career, no wife, no children-only stories. Constantly stories about the places you have been and the things you've done. His voice amplified, playing to the audience. Does anyone recall when he used to claim he was employed overseas in, what was it, a souvenir shop? My grandmother's brother, Uncle Barry, shifted in his seat, looking ill at ease. "Marcus, perhaps now is not the right moment." "No, this is exactly the moment," he retorted. "I'm done with the pretense. I'm sick of seeing him stroll in here every few months, weaving elaborate fictions about his significant work, while the rest of us maintain actual jobs, handle real expenses and lead real lives. He's a fake, Barry. A compulsive liar who can't even be straightforward about how he makes a living." The fluorescent fixtures above us hummed. Someone's cell phone buzzed against a vinyl chair. In the corner, GNN was playing silently on a wall-mounted screen. Closed captions streamed across images of some global conflict I recognized but couldn't acknowledge. "Not in this place, not at this time. Do you want my opinion?" Marcus was only just warming up. "I believe our grandmother has been wiring money to a charlatan for all these years. I believe Stephen here has been exploiting the kindness of a dear old woman while the rest of us genuinely support this family." My cousin Jake nodded in agreement. He had always been in Marcus's shadow, even when we were boys. "Yeah, think about last Christmas when he claimed he couldn't come because of work. What kind of job prevents you from being with family on the holidays? Unless it's not a real job at all." "Precisely," Marcus affirmed, embracing his subject. "And has anyone else observed how he avoids talking about his profession? Never invites anyone from his workplace to family functions. Never reveals where he resides or is employed. Because it's all a fabrication. The clandestine travels, the ambiguous allusions to security consulting, it's all a fantasy." I stood there, taking it all in the same way I'd been trained to absorb enemy fire during my initial tour in Afghanistan. You maintain your composure. You do not show a reaction. You evaluate the circumstances and formulate your countermove. But this wasn't a military base in Kandahar. This was my family. And the individual, attempting to demolish my reputation, wasn't a hostile operative. It was my own brother. The brother to whom I had wired funds when his legal practice was on the brink of collapse 3 years prior. The brother whose mortgage payments I had discreetly assisted with after his wife divorced him. The brother who was completely unaware that the anonymous benefactor who covered our grandmother's heart medication costs last year was standing right before him, silently enduring his tirade. Do you know what truly irks me? Marcus was building toward his grand finale. He carries himself as if he's superior to us, as if his little vanishing acts confer some special status. But just look at him. 41 years old, living like a college student, devoid of responsibilities, lacking any genuine ties. He's pathetic. The waiting room had fallen utterly silent, save for the hum of the snack machines and the faint beeping of hospital equipment. I could sense every eye fixed on me, anticipating my reaction to this public humiliation. I thought of my grandmother, undergoing surgery 3 floors above us. The woman who would stay up with me through nightmares after our parents passed. Who impressed upon me that strength isn't about validating yourself to those who have already judged you. Who, on the eve of my departure for basic training, told me that some conflicts are not worth engaging in, while others are worth everything. Are you going to respond? Marcus pressed. Or are you just going to stand there looking enigmatic? That's your signature move, isn't it? Remain silent. Let everyone think you're more complex than you really are. I was on the verge of replying when my phone vibrated. Then it vibrated again, and then it began to ring. I checked the display. Director's private line. My pulse, already racing from Marcus's onslaught, surged. The director of the agency doesn't call at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday unless a situation has gone critically wrong. I have to get this, I said under my breath. Marcus chuckled, an actual laugh. Oh, here it comes. Let me see if I can guess. Another of your critical calls. What's the crisis this time, Stephen? The president requires your counsel? The Security Council has a problem only you can resolve? I moved toward a corner of the room, phone glued to my ear. Ramsey. Stephen, it's John. Director Croft's voice was strained with tension. I'm aware you're on personal leave, but a situation is unfolding in Algeria. The contact we talked about last month. He's dropped off the grid, and we have grounds to believe he's been exposed. I shut my eyes. Karim. I had invested 6 months cultivating that connection, gaining his confidence, creating the network that had thwarted 2 significant terrorist plots in the last year. If he had been compromised, it was more than just his life on the line. It was every informant, every source, every meticulously assembled link we had established in North Africa. What's the time frame? I inquired. 48 hours, possibly less. We require someone familiar with the region, who is fluent in the language, and who grasps the cultural nuances. We require you. From behind me, Marcus's voice echoed across the waiting area. Just look at him, faking importance. He's probably on the line with a recorded message. Sir, I'm with my family at the moment. My grandmother. I realise that, and I apologise, but Stephen, you are the sole operative available who can enter Algiers and manage this crisis without being eliminated. The Algeria station head lacks your network and your linguistic abilities. We are facing a potential intelligence catastrophe if this network disintegrates. I glanced back at the waiting room. Marcus was still the centre of attention, gesturing emphatically as he detailed for anyone still listening how I had been misleading the family for years. Uncle Barry looked distressed. Cousin Jake was nodding along, like a dashboard toy. The rest were divided between feeling awkward and being captivated. How long? I asked. 3 days, perhaps 4 with some luck. Get in, retrieve what you can and destroy what's unsalvageable. 3 days. Grandmother would be in recovery for a minimum of a week. She would get it. She always had. I'll require transportation to Langley within the next 2 hours. It's already been organised. Stephen, stay safe. I ended the call and walked back to my family. The murmurs ceased as I neared. Let me guess, Marcus said, a smirk on his face. You need to go off and rescue the world once more. I looked at him. Truly looked at him. My younger brother, who would cry during thunderstorms, until I climbed into his bed and told him tales of valiant knights in faraway lands. The boy who would plead with me not to go when I left for university. The man who had no clue that his brother had dedicated the past 15 years of his life to places not found on any tourist map, performing duties that would never be reported in the news. Something to that effect, I replied. This is exactly what I mean. He proclaimed to the room. The evasive replies, the secretive phone calls. It's all a show, everyone. he's likely headed back to his small apartment to stream some series. I picked up my wallet and coat. I need to leave. Of course you do. Just when the family needs you, Stephen vanishes again, same as always. I paused at the exit and looked back. Tell grandmother I love her. Tell her I'll be back to see her soon. If you decide to show up again this time. 4 days later I was in a cafe in Iran, watching the dawn's light turn the Grand Mosque a golden hue, when my secure phone vibrated with an encrypted text. Mission accomplished, asset secured, network intact. 27 possible attacks averted. Excellent work. I gave myself precisely 1 minute to feel a sense of accomplishment. Then erased the text and took a flight back to the capital. Grandmother was conscious when I arrived at the hospital, appearing frail but lucid. She had clasped my hand as I took a seat by her bed. You missed all the drama, she said softly. I'm sorry I had to go. I know, my dear. No explanation needed, she said with a smile. But Marcus has been here every single day, keeping watch. He truly does love you, you know. He just has a hard time understanding. I nodded. Marcus loved me in the way one loves a puzzle they can't figure out, with growing agitation. 2 weeks after that, grandmother was back home and recovering steadily. Marcus proposed a family dinner to mark the occasion, which was in reality another venue for him to publicly challenge my life choices. This time, he had extended the invitation list even further. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family, friends, neighbours, the entire social circle. We were gathered in our grandmother's dining room, the very room where we had shared Sunday meals as kids, where she had helped us with our schoolwork, and where she had taught us both the game of chess. Marcus was recounting the details of his most recent case, a matter concerning municipal bonds and zoning laws, when he shifted his focus to me. So, Stephen, since you've returned from your latest business trip, he said, forming air quotes with his fingers, perhaps you can now finally inform us what it is you do for a living. The room fell silent, the only sound being the ticking of grandmother's tall case clock. I'm employed by the government, I stated plainly. And what is it you do exactly? Intelligence. Marcus let out a laugh. Intelligence, is it? Right. And I'm the president. Be serious, Stephen. We're all adults. Just come clean. You don't have a regular job. There's nothing wrong with that. Many people take time to find their way, but it's time to stop acting like you're some kind of spy. My phone vibrated. A text message. I looked down. GNN is requesting an interview regarding the Algeria mission. We're denying it, but I thought you should be aware you're about to be a household name. The director. I looked up. The television in grandmother's living room was visible from the dining area, and I could spot the familiar GNN emblem in the corner. As a matter of fact, I said, rising from my chair, you might want to raise the volume on that. Marcus sighed dramatically. Oh, what's this now? Let me guess. You're about to claim you're on the evening news? I went to the television and turned up the sound just as the news anchor started to speak. Exclusive information tonight concerning last week's intelligence mission in Algeria, which prevented what our sources indicate could have been one of the most catastrophic terrorist attacks in recent history. The mission was directed by a seasoned agency operative, whose name is classified, but sources have verified he is a 15-year veteran of the organization with specialized knowledge in North African affairs. The dining room had become completely still. The operative, characterized by his peers as both brilliant and courageous, successfully retrieved a high-priority intelligence source, whose network had been exposed, thereby saving not only the source's life but also protecting a vital intelligence asset that has stopped dozens of plots over the last 2 years. Marcus was transfixed by the screen, his jaw slack. While we are unable to disclose the operative's identity due to security protocols, we can report that he was recently honored with the Distinguished Intelligence Cross for his efforts in thwarting terrorist activities aimed at American interests abroad. I took my wallet out of my jacket and removed my official credentials, the real set, not the cover identity I used for travel. National Clandestine Service, Senior Operations Officer, GS-15 pay grade. I placed them on the coffee table for everyone to see. "Marcus," I said softly, "there's someone I'd like you to meet. This is the real me." The silence lingered for what seemed like an eternity, but was likely just a few seconds. Finally, Uncle Barry whispered, "Good heavens." Marcus reached for the credentials with unsteady hands, scrutinizing them as if they might be counterfeit. But they were not. The holographic security elements, the official insignia, the photograph, it was all authentic. "I don't get it," he said, his voice a mere whisper. "For the past 15 years, I have been an employee of the National Clandestine Service," I explained. "My official position is Senior Operations Officer, Middle East Desk. I am fluent in Arabic, Farsi, French, and Pashto. I have been deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Algeria, Tunisia, and a number of other locations I cannot disclose. The business trips you found so amusing, I was preventing terrorist attacks. The money that I seem to have out of nowhere. I make $140,000 annually, not including hazard pay and overseas bonuses." I returned to my seat at the dining table. Everyone was looking at me, as if I had just sprouted a second head. The reason I don't discuss my job is that it's classified. The reason I don't bring work associates to family gatherings is that my associates officially do not exist. The reason I'm absent on holidays and for family events is that terrorists do not observe Christmas. Marcus placed the credentials down with great care as if they were explosive. But why didn't you ever tell us?" I surveyed the room, taking in the faces of all the people who had for years believed I was a failure, a fake, a disgrace to the family. "Because you never bothered to ask. You simply made assumptions, and frankly, some of you are incapable of keeping a secret. My professional cover must be impenetrable. That means the fewer people who know the real story, the safer I am." Grandmother was observing from her wheelchair, and I could see the pride radiating from her eyes. She had known all along, hadn't she? Perhaps not the specifics, but she had sensed I was engaged in something significant. "The funds I wired to you 3 years ago when your firm was struggling," I said to Marcus. "That was from me. The anonymous contribution that covered grandmother's heart medication. Also me. The unknown benefactor who assisted with Jake's children's university fees. Take a guess." Jake's fork clattered onto his plate. "That was you?" "I have been supporting this family for many years," I said gently, "without any expectation of credit, because that is the purpose of family." Marcus appeared as though he might begin to weep. "Stephen, I was completely unaware. All of those things I said. You said them because you saw me as a nobody, because you were convinced I was a phony and a letdown, because you formed your opinion of who I was without ever trying to learn the truth." The news report was still on in the other room, and I could hear the anchor talking about the wider context of international intelligence in combating terrorism. "I am proud of what I do," I went on. "I am proud that I have dedicated my life to safeguarding people, all of you included, from dangers you will never be aware of. I am proud that I have gained the esteem of individuals whose judgments truly mean something to me. And I am proud that I have achieved all of this while being told by my own brother that I am a fraud." I got up and took my credentials, putting them back in my wallet. "For your information, I own a 3-bedroom townhouse in Arlington, Virginia. I own a 2019 Audi A4. I have a 401k, a comprehensive health plan, and a security clearance that required 18 months and 2 polygraph tests to secure. I am not pathetic, Marcus. I am not a fraud. I am precisely the person I have always been. You just failed to ever really see me." The room was so still, I could hear the furnace kicking in. "I love every one of you," I said at last. "You too, Marcus. but I will not remain here and be denigrated by people who have never experienced a single day of my life. I will not make excuses for having a life that is beyond your comprehension. And I will not diminish myself just to make you feel more secure about your own lives. I leaned down and kissed grandmother on her forehead. I'll give you a call tomorrow, I murmured. With that, I walked out, leaving in my wake a room of people who were just beginning to grasp that the person they had been writing off for years was someone they had never truly known at all. 3 months after that night, a text from Marcus appeared on my phone. I've started seeing a therapist, sorting through some issues. I owe you much more than just an apology. I owe you my respect. Can we try to start again? I looked at the message for a long while before I typed my reply. I would like that. Because that's what families do. We look out for one another, even when that protection comes in ways people can't always see. We forgive one another, even when forgiveness feels more difficult than retribution. And every so often, we are given the opportunity to begin anew. But never again did they confuse my quiet resolve for weakness, my classified profession for unemployment, or my dedication to my country for an inability to succeed. Some battles are worth the fight, some triumphs are worth the wait, and some family members are worth saving, even from their own misconceptions.